This is Frodo, your amped up Florida Bulldog, and welcome to episode 10 of the Stray Dog Footy podcast. That's right, we're in double digits, folks. And to think my high school guidance counselor said I wouldn't amount to anything. Happy day, happy day, happy day. What a difference a week can make. Did you see my Bulldogs dismantle GWS on Friday? If you live in America and don't have the Watch AFL app, you probably did not. Figures the arguably most intense match of the 2020 season is not shown on American TV. Another opportunity lost to showcase the awesome Bulldogs to American viewers. Fear not, I will go deeper into that game and more in just a minute, but let me talk a little bit about American TV first. So, despite not showing every match each week, most notably my Bulldogs, more AFL games are shown here than ever before. At least for as long as I have been watching Aussie Rules football anyway. Fox Sports has really ramped up their coverage, showing matches over several of their channels. And ESPN has decided to get back on the AFL bandwagon as well, showing 2 games a week that Fox Sports passes on. Somehow, my doggies fell through the cracks, but at least there is more AFL than ever being brought to sports-hungry Americans. And if social media is any indication, many are falling in love with the sport, just like us veterans who discovered Aussie Rules prior to COVID. So let's talk about round 3. First off, on Thursday night we had the Richmond Tigers and the Hawthorn Hawks. Just when I thought I was getting a handle on the screwy 2020 season, the Hawks mopped the floor with the Premiership defending Tigers. I knew Dustin Martin was important to Richmond, as well as any player of his skill would be to any team. But I underestimated the effect his absence would have. The missed kick by Lynch from the goal square was just indicative of the night the Tigers were having. But also, congratulations to Hawthorn for a superb effort and well done bouncing back from the previous round. Next, we had Friday Night Football, which is basically the AFL's counterpart to the NFL's Monday Night Football here in the States, with the entire country tuning in. And it boggles my mind how neither Fox or ESPN picked up this game between the Western Bulldogs and the Greater Western Sydney Giants. As I said in the last episode of this podcast, I feel this is the most heated rivalry in modern times, and I'll talk a little bit about it now. I suppose it goes back a bit further, with the coach and player trades linking the clubs in controversy since the inception of GWS. But for me, it started in the 2016 preliminary final. This is still the most intense game of footy I have ever seen, with the Bulldogs fighting through the orange tsunami to reach the promised land and Premiership glory. The fact that so many Bulldogs fans made the trip up to Sydney from Melbourne for the prelim, that the Giants were actually booed as they walked out onto their home ground, I'm sure did not sit well with GWS fans and players. Never mind that they were also denied a grand final appearance by the slimmest of margins. In the years since, sportcasters tried to brand the rivalry as the Great Western. Fortunately, this has fallen out of favor, as the name seems to leave as bad a taste in one's mouth as Toby Green's cleats did in Luke Dahlhouse's in round 21 of season 2017. If you haven't seen this particular marking contest, if you can call it that, check it out on YouTube. It's pretty spectacular, and the fact that Green did not miss any games with a suspension after it only stoked the flames of hatred. This moment still stirs the ire of the Bulldogs faithful like few others, though Green punching Caleb Daniel in the face while supposedly going for the ball in round 6 that same year comes pretty close. At least he did get banned for a few weeks after that particular incident. Skip ahead to last year, season 2019, round 22, when the Bulldogs, while finally fighting their way back to the finals again, embarrassed the Giants at home. A dominant 10-goal winning Bulldogs performance was accented by a hard frontal hit on giant Nick Haynes by Marcus Bontempelli. Though it initially didn't seem like a very big deal, like he only had the wind knocked out of him as he was able to play out the match, it turned out that Haynes had actually had his larynx fractured and would miss the next round due to the injury. when the Bont only received a fine and no suspension, as the medical report was not made available to the match review officer, GWS saw red. Bontempelli actually reached out to Haynes afterward to check on his condition, and the two of them seemed to have no hard feelings after their conversation. However, this did nothing to temper Haynes' teammates, and in the first round of the finals, again playing the Bulldogs, they came out swinging. In a complete reversal of their previous encounter, the Giants bullied the Dogs all over the field and off their game to the tune of a 58-point loss. It was one of the most brutal games I have ever seen live. True smash-mouth footy, reminiscent of a bygone era. At one point, Bontempelli literally had his hair grabbed and his head bounced on the ground. After the match, the Bulldogs go home to stew about it for the off-season, and the Giants go on to eventually make it to the grand final, only to be destroyed by Richmond. Enter round 3, 2020, just a few days ago. The Bulldogs haven't won a game since their last meeting with GWS, coming in 0-2. The Giants have played twice as many matches with their finals run last year, starting this season at 1-1. This is Bontempelli's first year as captain of the Bulldogs. As he goes out to the center of the field for the coin toss, he is not met by the GWS captain, Stephen Coniglio. Instead, with a bit of theater, the Giants send out none other than Nick Haynes in his place. If it was meant to rattle the Bont, it failed miserably. In fact, Bontempelli said after that he didn't even give it much thought, just thinking that maybe it was a milestone game for Haynes or some such. Only later did he realize that GWS was maybe trying to get under his skin. Whatever the reason, it was just the first of many notable incidents during this match. Even before the first bounce, the teams were at each other. Niggle is just not strong enough of a word. Aaron Naughton actually had to borrow Lockie Young's jumper, as he had his first two ripped off of him during the game. At the end of the third quarter, there was a brawl involving just about every player on each team. There was a free kick goal after the siren by Libba, and then the teams got into it again, this time clearing the benches. Somewhere in the melee, a game of footy was played, and the Bulldogs pretty much shut down the Giants 57-33. A low-scoring affair, to be sure. The set shot continues to be an area that provides an opportunity for improvement. But still, I loved every minute of it. The Doggies won, but just as importantly, they played hard, and they played for each other. I love that the newly traded in key defender Keith scored only his second career goal. That the new kid Vandermeer definitely has some skills. How the two Baileys continue to impress. That Jackson McRae has the most disposals, as usual. That Bont got his first win as skipper. And, perhaps most importantly, Lin Zhang, Toby McLean, and the one and only Libba were back together. Having a Liberatore fighting for the red, white, and blue just feels right. A bright spot for GWS, in my opinion, was actually the stellar play of Nick Haynes. Best on ground for the Giants, if you ask me, no matter the disposal count. Damn guy seemed to be everywhere at times. Just an inch away from spoiling the Bont's magnificent soccer-style goal in the fourth, too. Also, I loved seeing so many familiar faces in the cheer squad section. In case you didn't know, I'm not talking about live fans, but several clubs have honored a few supporters by making life-size cutouts of them and placing them on the seats behind goal. I also enjoyed seeing the Bulldogs fans at home in the Zoom-like shots. Pretty sure I recognized someone in every box, too. That being said, I can't wait for the fans to fill the stadiums once more. Okay, so where was I? Yes, round 3. The next match was the North Melbourne Kangaroos against the South Melbourne Football Club, or Sydney Swans, as they have been called since 1982. The Bloods defeated the Kangas by 11 points. This one caught me a little bit by surprise, considering how strong North has looked thus far. Then we had the Magpies crushing the Saints. Collingwood is pretty much in everyone's top 4 this year, and it's no wonder. Then we had possibly the upset of the week, with Carlton getting out to an early lead over Geelong and then holding on to beat the Cats. I'm used to Eddie Betts winning games for whatever club he plays for, but usually by spectacular goals, not game-saving tackles. Of course, it may have all been for naught had Cats player Radaglia not had a transient ischemic attack and knocked Tomahawks' open goal kick back into play. Not sure what he was thinking, but I'm guessing he probably sat in the back of the room come Monday morning at the Cattery. Next, the apparently homesick Eagles continue their slide, losing badly to the Brisbane Lions. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if they turn it around once back home in Perth. I gotta say, I love how Lions coach Fagan interacts with his players. Now, as hard as it is to believe, after the Doggies game, the Suns and Crows match was the one I was most excited about this week. I guess I'm officially on the Suns bandwagon this season. Rowell is something to behold. Even heard the name Brownlaw and him in the same sentence. Early yet, for sure, but not bad for a kid in his third AFL game. I had predicted the Suns would beat the struggling Crows, but not to the extent they did. Gold Coast fans must be over the moon right now. And finally, we had the Power continuing on their winning ways by defeating the Freo Dockers. It will be interesting to see who, if anyone, can turn the lights out in Port Adelaide this year. Some of you might be saying, "Whoa, wait, that was only 8 games, Frodo." Well, yes, that is correct. With an Essendon player possibly testing positive for the coronavirus, the Bombers and Demons match is at the very least postponed. What effect this positive test, which has now been retested as a negative, will have on the Bombers, and in fact the rest of the league and season, remains to be seen. But for now, we will continue on with the latest information we have on hand. For round 4, we start with another Thursday night footy match with the Swans taking on my Bulldogs. Both teams come in hot off a win, and both with some injury concerns. The Swans' Tom McCartan is out following a concussion sustained against North, and Dunkley suffered an ankle injury at the end of the Giants match. Young pup Lewis Butters Butler makes his AFL debut. It looks like ESPN2 will show it in the United States, and TSN is also showing it in Canada. In my Eastern time zone, the action should start at 5:30 a.m. Not a hard game to watch at all, but you can always set your DVR if it's too early for you. Next, on Friday night, we have the Giants and Magpies. Many people picked these two teams in their top 4, so stakes are high. Collingwood is flying high. Can GWS rise to the challenge? Some key inclusions might make the difference. In America, you can tune in to Fox Sports 1 to find out. Next, we have the ladder-topping Power and the so far disappointing Eagles. Is this when the West Coast contenders make their inevitable turnaround? Check it out on Fox Sports 2, my fellow Americans. After that, we have the Saints and the Tigers. Dusty should be back, so will this be what brings Richmond back in the premiership conversations? Unfortunately, this match doesn't seem to be on American TV. Fortunately, my international Western Bulldogs membership continues to pay dividends, and I will be able to watch it on the AFL app. Hopefully you can too. After that, we have the Bombers and Blues, the latest installment of an ancient rivalry. With the surprising effort the Blues put forth last weekend, and the unsettling COVID possibilities the Dons had to deal with this week, I'm not sure what's going to happen, to say the least. The match should be shown on ESPN2 here in the States. Okay, next we have almost everyone's new second favorite team, the Suns, taking on Freo. Can Gold Coast continue to surprise? Or should I say impress, now that we've had a few rounds to digest it? Or will the Dockers spring a surprise of their own? Again, streaming online to see what happens. Then we have the Young Lions taking on the plucked and nearly stuffed Crows. Is there still proof of life in the Adelaide nest? Tune in to Fox Sports 2 and find out. Next, we have the D's, fresh off their practice match, in lieu of their postponed game against Essendon, taking on the Geelong Cats. Will the Cats bounce back away from the category? I wouldn't be surprised, but I'll have to check it out on the Watch AFL app to find out. Finally, we have the Hawks and Kangaroos. Hawthorn won when they should have lost, and North lost when I thought they would win last round, so your guess is as good as mine as to what the outcome here will be. Fox Sports 1 will have the answer for us Americans. Well, I think that should just about wrap it up for now. As always, I thank you so much for listening. I will be so thankful if you will be kind enough to share a link to this podcast with your friends and family. Hell, I wouldn't care if you shared it with people you don't even like that much. It's all about sharing and growing this amazing sport we all love. This podcast can be found on your favorite podcast player or at straydogfooty.podbean.com, and I would love to hear your feedback. Please let me know what you like, dislike, and what I could do to make it better. Is there a particular subject you want me to cover? Is there a particular point of footy you want to learn more about? Just shoot me a message and I'll get on it. You can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Stray Dog Footy and by email at straydogfooty@yahoo.com. Also, I just wanted to mention that I am not endorsed by or officially affiliated with either the Australian Football League or the Western Bulldogs, beyond being a huge fan and supporter. Likewise, I am not endorsed or affiliated with Peg and the Rejected, but I am a fan of their music. I would like to thank them for the use of their song, Red, White, Black and Blue, which I used a portion of as an intro to this episode. I will also play us out to their entire song, and of course, leave a link in the show notes to their music. Stay safe, everyone, and enjoy the footy. Cheers!